Hey, it's Chuck.
And Val.
And once again, we're with 8 Minutes of 8 Ball. And today we're interviewing
My dad.
Mr. Warren Batts. He's over here. We were back in a moment. Thanks.
When I had longer hair and my teeth
Where's that at? You know where that was taken?
looked a little different. That was actually in the States.
Is that a Fender twin reverb I see you sitting there?
Yep. Yeah.
Gosh, they're loud and bright, even when they're turned off.
Back then, it was no problem carrying it.
We all know who that character is. That's Elvis Presley.
You can just barely see the amp behind me
Right, yes.
on that one. On that particular job, that was in Florida, I think.
That was late 80s, wasn't it?
Yeah, late 80s.
Is that the bass you now have, the stand-up upright? Is that
Yeah.
one? Is that it?
Well, no, Al's son has that bass.
Oh, okay.
Al was going to give it to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and they said they'd take it. Well, when he died, his son called them to come and get it. They wouldn't come and get it because they said they didn't have room for it. And so his son still has the bass. That one's exactly the same thing.
Yeah, it's the Snoop. You made the Snoopy head on it, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah, I decided I was going to make that a doghouse bass. But we traveled. Those pictures
Yeah,
there
that's
were
right.
taken by a disc jockey from North Carolina, and he went by the name of the Big Kahuna, and he followed the Comets everywhere, all across Florida. We did 5,000 miles in 1 week in Florida.
A lot of shows, a lot of driving.
A lot of driving. Went through a hurricane. We did the Navy's birthday party at the last key. And Blood, Sweat, and Tears. So about 5 or 6 bands. And they were all on the beach on different stages. So you could hear country, rock, the current rock, and then the old rock,
Right.
kind of thing. Hurricane came in, and they told us, they said, guys, you got to get to your bus and get out of here because that hurricane's coming in, and if you don't get to get into the actual Florida,
Right, the mainland.
the mainland, they said it washes over the roads out here, the storm surge. You couldn't see the ocean for all the Navy boats. I mean, there was that many. You could not see the ocean. As far as you could see, there were Navy boats. In 2 hours, they were gone. When we got back, there was times where I thought, looking out the window, we're in the damned ocean. We can't possibly be on the road, you know. And you look out, you can see the truck ahead of us and people behind us.
Right.
So we figured we must be on the road. But every time the wind and the waves had hit, it was trying to wash the bus off the road. Fought that all the way back till we got to the mainland. And just amazingly made it. But, yeah, that picture there, I was playing a Strat Plus that I got from Owensboro. But I had to have clip belts, totally rebuild it.
It was a master, Cliff Phillips.
Because the tremolo system was 1/4 of an inch out of alignment, straight out of the factory.
Yeah, I used to go to Cliff. He worked on all my guitars when I was younger.
Yeah.
Till he passed away.
He was the best.
You remember Cliff?
He put that Strat Plus back together, and you couldn't tell it had ever been worked on.
He always had time too, you know. He was a gentleman.
And that was when we're still on MCA records. Everybody in that picture's dead.
Yeah, but Bill Haley passed away soon after that, didn't he?
81.
81, yeah.
I mean, you know, they didn't think about Bill Haley in 1981.
And he's really the godfather of rock. I mean, it was Little Richard and people like that. But I mean, Bill Haley was in Rock Around the Clock.
Rock Around the Clock set the standard.
That was the standard, yes.
Yeah.
And you know,
It set the records, and every guitar player had to learn that part.
right.
And Danny Sedrowan, who did that infamous lead on Rock Around the Clock, died 2 weeks after he did that, fell down the back stairs of the studio, got an aneurysm, and died, and never knew what he had created.
The song, I mean, they used it on Happy Days.
Yeah.
I know it was re-recorded, you know, with Anson Williams vocals, but yeah, I mean, that like you said, that's like album one,
Yeah.
and or the first chapter, first verse of the Bible of rock and roll.
No matter where we
Remember that.
went,
We'll use that.
they always introduced us as the fathers of rock and roll.
Yeah.
And some people have argued it a lot. What they can't argue is that the very first real rock and roll song to hit the charts was Rock Around the Clock.
Yeah.
There was no rock and roll. There was no rock and roll charts. There was only the hit parade
Right.
and Cashbox.
Elvis came later.
Yeah. Well, Elvis was actually about the same time as Haley. But Haley had to jump on him because he already was in a movie, he had the theme in a movie and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So he was jumping well ahead of Elvis. Elvis still was traveling with him and Scotty Moore, DJ Fontana, and Bill Black on bass.
Did you ever get to meet Elvis?
Yep. And Bill Black eventually, well, Bill traveled with them, in fact, in Lubbock, Texas, where Ben took all those pictures that Disney screwed him out of. When they were there, when Elvis was there with Scotty and them, they had drove down there in a convertible Cadillac. They were covered in dust, dirty. Got there just in time to do the show, couldn't even clean up, and went up on the stage and did the show. Not to a huge audience, but a pretty good sized audience. I mean, you know, he was getting enough name to
Right.
him. But at the same time, they still didn't have the prestige of a bus or anything else. They were still traveling in an old Cadillac. Kind of like Hank Williams, you know. But Ben took a lot of pictures of Ben Hall, who was Buddy Holly's first real producer and wrote the first two Buddy Holly songs. He'd been trying to record Buddy in his home in Lubbock, in Ben's hometown. As things progressed, Ben eventually moved to Nashville and helped design Studio B for RCA. And when RCA closed Studio B, Ben took a lot of that equipment and microphones and stuff to his house and built his own studio. And just did things for the record companies. He didn't do guys walking in off the street.
Right.
He just contracted with the record companies. In fact, to the point of, like, he gave to me, well, he didn't give it to me. A guy by the name of Ray Pillow was A&R man at Capitol Records and was in there in Ben's studio one day and arguing with Ben about telling Ben that if he ever sent another demo with that dadgum Brooks guy, he wouldn't listen to it because he said he didn't want to hear no more yodeling cowboy crap. He was talking about Garth Brooks because Garth was Ben's demo singer. And they were laughing about that. I got to know Ray a little bit during those times. And eventually, Ray sent me a videotape of all of the uncut, the totally uncut versions of the Thunder Rolls.
Yeah, there was a third verse about the
Oh, there was some gory stuff. Let me tell you.
the wife getting revenge and
He
shooting him.
wanted to know, and he sent out about 10 of those to people that he wanted to get an opinion from. I watched those, and I thought that is way too gory for television.
Yeah.
You know, and that was my critique. Was some of it is good, but too much of it is really gory, ugly. It tells the story, but it tells it too good.
Yeah. It was complete.
And so eventually they cut out most of the gore.
Yeah.
And the video made Garth Brooks so much money when it went into what they call rotation. He made $120 million in 1 month off that video.
Yeah, the song's huge.
And during the course of the Thunder Rolls, the thunder was rolling against a pillow because Garth had a chip on his shoulder about him saying things like that. When Garth got the money, he bought cattle for no other reason than to walk in and say,
You're fired.
"You're fired." It was just, that's the way Nashville was. I mean,
Yeah.
it was all politics.
Still is, isn't it?
And it still is, and it still will be.
I don't think Nashville, it's not as warm and friendly as people project it.
I sat and listened to Marty Gamblin, who was at the time Glenn Campbell's producer, managing Alan Jackson, Lacey J. Dalton, several people that were in the top all the time. Marty Gamblin was an extremely smart man, and I listened to him and two top execs, one from MCA and one from, what was the name of that other? It's big now, but it's big then, but it's gone now. Another big record company. Can't remember the name of it. They were at a table just talking, trying to figure out where it's going. And this was maybe 20 years ago,
Right.
when they're trying to figure out where things are going. And they knew the record business was pretty much over as it was at the time.
Right.
Sign them for anywhere from 2 to 4%, 8 at the most percent. Put the money in them, put them out there, make a lot of money. Well, that formula was dying away, and they were discussing going to what they call 360, which was they'd still put up the money, they'd still pay for the buses, but all that came out of the artists.
Right.
And a lot of the artists didn't realize that that $1,000 a day was coming out of their pocket, not the record company. And they were getting 10% of the marketing and 10% of the gate.
Right.
Which doesn't sound like a lot, but it does when you sell
Yeah, they're
concert
getting
after concert after concert.
now they're getting soft sales from the T-shirts and the alcohol and everything.
They're getting everything now, and
Yeah, a record company these days is a bank loan.
you're just as well off to do your own thing, promote yourself. What a lot of artists now coming up don't understand is that the fan base is what's going to sell you.
Yep.
In other words, you've got to sell to a base of people on a regular basis and expand it out little by little until you get to half of the United States, where you can show up, play a gig, and know that you're going to make money and you're going to sell product.
Yeah. Sadly, that's what it is. It's a product.
Yeah. It's all about marketing. It's all about product.
So, have you got anything else you want to show us on
The actual talent is less than 10% of
Right.
the 100% you're going to put into your business.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just a sample where we played for Elvis Presley's grand opening of the birthplace. We were not supposed to play. We didn't want to play, but the TCB band was caught in Brazil and couldn't get there.
Is that in Tupelo?
This is in Tupelo, and that was on a huge stage out on the parking lot of the convention center.
Look at those old metal park cans. Those were industry standards at one time.
Yeah. The JBLs were stacked up higher than that thing there. I mean, they were just literally stacked up so high. And when the drummer hit the bass drum, you could hear it, you know, in Kansas.
Yeah.
But Def Leppard was supposed to play at the Coliseum, or at the place that night. And when we did our sound check and we came back, there was a big bus parked behind the soundboard, and we thought it was the sound company, you know, because it was pretty warm and hot.
Right.
Well, the sound company pulled the bus up, and we were sitting in there. As it turned out, it was Def Leppard. And after the show, the guys from Def Leppard all came down there and said, wanted to talk and sit down and carry on. And they said, we told them, said, well, the convention center people are taking us all over Tupelo and going to stuff us with all the ribs that we can eat, and they're treating us like we should have been treated 20 years ago. Actually, like the real rock and roll royalty.
Right.
And I said, they're really giving us the town. Well, we'd come to your show. So the guy with only had one arm.
Yeah, Rick.
He said, man, I'd give my left arm to go with you guys. Guitar player turned around and looked at him. He says, you can't afford to give up an arm. But, you know, fun stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that's what that was all about. And of course, that was another job. And as you can see, there's a bungee cord on Al's bass that he used to throw that bass down and then pull that and it would spring back up. And more than once that rope broke. Broke the head off that bass. I don't know how many times, and we hot glue it sometimes. It became a prop eventually, rather than an actual usable bass. This is where I got with James Burton, and got him to donate 12 guitars to Spencer County Schools through his foundation. And again, he hung me out to dry and called me at the last minute and says, I can't get there, you're going to have to do it. You know, so I had to go up there and go through the whole 9 yards, presenting the guitars and stuff like that. Burton just gave back time and time again.
Who was James Burton with, for those who don't know?
Well, when Elvis fired his first band and went to the second band that went to Vegas, Burton was the guitar player, James Burton. And he stayed with Elvis till Elvis passed. James actually started out with Ricky Nelson. It was Ricky Nelson's guitar player. Thank goodness he wasn't on the airplane that went up in flames. But we became friends over the years simply because of who we were and where we were. Twice we played at Memphis for St. Jude's, the only place that Elvis wasn't allowed to perform. Not because he didn't want to, because he wanted to in the worst way. But the Colonel felt that this is a fundraiser, and if we get Elvis in there, it's going to create chaos and confusion and too big a crowd. They won't be able to handle it. And so Elvis wasn't allowed to play, but what he would do is have all the bands over to his house afterwards. And then it was just his house. It wasn't like it is now.
Right.
It wasn't a shrine. It was where he hung out, shot guns, rode horses. You know, it was just a house.
Right.
But that was the connection to the Burton Foundation. And I've also recommended 2 other places to get guitars, but this time I didn't have to go. And of course, we'll get to Charlie Daniels.